What is a dietitian?
Well, a dietitian is a person who is qualified, trained in human nutrition, and they are able to apply that knowledge of nutrition and diet in a medical setting, clinical setting. So treating, a whole range of issues, diseases, conditions in a hospital setting, for example, or in the community, in their private practice. And also treating weight management, health at every size, a whole range of issues. So it's quite a broad field.
Mm-hmm. Who are the kinds of people you help?
Well, in my work, I predominantly deal with people with eating disorders, but along with that I also treat people with type 2 diabetes, polycystic ovarian syndrome, celiac disease, food intolerances, weight management in a health at every size approach, and just general eating for good health information, sometimes vegetarianism and veganism if information is needed there.
What do you do in a one-on-one session?
Well, when I first meet with a patient or client, I take a history, so I want to know a bit about their medical background, why they've come to see me, find out about what they eat, and about their eating behaviour too, when they eat, how they eat, and any symptoms they might be having in relation to diet, and then we sort of formulate some way of working and meeting again, and that's looking at setting some realistic and achievable goals.
What does a healthy diet look like?
I think a healthy diet or eating for good health means eating a wide variety of foods from all the different food groups, predominantly plant-based, lean proteins and good fats, but it also includes all sorts of foods, all enjoyable foods that we include. It could be takeaway food, it can be chocolates, cake, whatever it is. They're all part of enjoyment of food, and in that way you have a nice emotional, happy relationship with food.
Have you always wanted to be a dietitian?
Yes, since I was age 14, and the reason for that was I loved cooking, and my family were all good cooks, and we had home economics as a class at school, so we got to cook. And along with that we also learned about the human body and nutrients, and we also went to visit a hospital and speak to the dietitian and see what the dietitian did, and I thought that was just fantastic, and that's what I wanted to do. As it happened, I didn't go on to do any science at school, so I didn't go back to study dietetics until I was in my 40s, so I had to make a decision to go back and study VCE chemistry so that I could get the right score to get into the course, and then I was fortunate enough to be accepted and haven't looked back.
What kind of training do you need to be a dietitian?
It's a 4-year degree, and there are several universities in Australia now that do nutrition and dietetics. The two main ones in Melbourne would be Monash University and Deakin, and within that degree there's a lot of hospital placements and very much that medical setting, so really understanding disease processes and different conditions. So it's not an easy course, but it's a very interesting one.
And what's the difference between a dietitian and a nutritionist?
A nutritionist probably has the same knowledge in terms of what foods do for you in a health sense, but they can't apply it in a medical clinical setting. So a dietitian can use that knowledge and apply it to different diseases and conditions, and even so far as treating people with burns, neonates, that need special nutrition, whereas a nutritionist wouldn't be able to do that.
Are there good and bad foods?
No good and bad foods. All foods are morally neutral. I would say there probably are just bad ways of eating, and people tend to blame the food, but it's actually what they do with the food. So, yeah, none.
What's your favourite food?
That's a really hard question. I love cooking, I love eating out, I love food. I don't know that I can really pinpoint one particular food at all. I love it all.
And what's the best part about your job?
Developing that therapeutic relationship with the patient or client, and usually I get to see people on several occasions. It's not just a one-off meeting, so you really do get to know them and feel that you can actually help. So quite different to being in a hospital where it's very quick. You might see a patient once. In private practice, you really get to know people.